Russell Ingall had a scare late in that race too, with the track looking a little bit average on the approach to turn 6. Here's how they will start on the Talon Tough Tools lineup for race 3. Garth Tander, 2 from 2 so far. Stephen Richards just 4 points behind in the round. Solid Holden's up front, but in the championship it's a different story at the moment, Lee. And
Murphy there, the big mover in that race. Paul Radisich, I just spoke with Paul, he's very pleased to break into the top 10. And after a nightmare run, it didn't finish too bad for the HRT pair of Todd Kelly, Mark Skaife, finishing 11th and 12th respectively. It could have been a whole lot worse.
So just reiterating, 63 points is now the margin. Ingall to Lowndes. And Russell is down the order in this one. He's in position 9. Starts on row 5. Craig Lowndes, meantime, who's been the big mover, is up into position 3. Not a bad recovery from the Holden racing team in that last race, considering the difficulties they had. But it's now a long shot to talk about them in terms of championship. Mark?
We heard earlier Jason Bargwanna's got chickenpox in his 100th race. I saw him strap himself into the car just 15 minutes ago. Never, ever have I seen such a sick-looking man as Jason Bargwanna. He looked absolutely terrible. Not terrible, though, the weather, boys. It is clouding over a little, but the track has remained at 36, and the air temperature's dropped 1 degree since race 2 is now 22.
I just saw his team owner a little moment ago, Mark Larkham. He said, dead set, we have no more spares left. He said, we can't win a break this weekend, that's for sure. Skaife will be starting from 12. The final few cars coming into position. Can Garth Tander get the clean sweep in the Ferodo Triple Challenge?
And how has everybody managed their tyre sets here for this weekend? 12 tyres issued, 3 100-kilometre motor races. What have they got left to fight with after the compulsory pit stop?
Keep your eyes on Ingall. Keep your eyes on Lowndes. They're the top 2 in the championship. 3 in the championship is Ambrose, who is having to come right from the back of this field. It'll be a tough one for him. And Richards does not want Tander to dominate this event. Can anyone go with Tander? We're about to find out. Final race, second last round of the year. Good start, Stephen Richards. Good start, Craig Lowndes. Tander got the jump, though. He will lead them into turn 1. And Murphy is forcing the issue on the inside with Paul Dumbrell. They go side by side. Richards runs wide, and Kelly gets through.
Outstanding job in that second race, and he's trying to capitalise now. Jason Richards will be attacked by the pack as they make the run to turn 4. Great start once again, Garth Tander. Stephen Richards ran with him. Lowndes under pressure at the hairpin.
And they're a lot more together than what they were in the opening race. That is much more tidy. And look at this, Richards, Skaife, the guys who are fighting it out at the Super Cheap Auto 1000, they go at it down the back straight.
Stone cold tyres, and they're pressured so that they survive a motor race, not just one lap, as Radisich just elbows by Max Wilson, loses a couple of spots in the process. Difficult times in the first couple of laps in these races.
Just spoke with Rick Kelly earlier. I said, how did you see that one? The previous race. He said, well, it was good. He said, I could not hold off Craig Lowndes. He said, boy, he's good into the hairpin. He's looking for revenge here. They made a change to the car in race 2. They've gone back to their initial setting now for this third and final race. We'll see if Kelly's got anything for Lowndes.
Tander looks speedy, doesn't he? He's made half a second in that opening lap. 56.1 was his standing lap time. Here's Lowndes. In touch. Good car in that last race. Couldn't really use it until later in the race, and by that stage it was all over.
Same rules apply in this one, folks. Compulsory pit stop for tyres. That pit window opens at lap 5 and closes at lap 29.
You know what is remarkable, Lee? 3 pressure motor races, sprint races this weekend, and in relative terms, pretty clean starts to all 3 of them, and that at this particular track is quite unusual.
Great crowd. We've had fabulous shots, and we should say congratulations to the folks here in Tasmania, Launceston, and here at Symmons Plains. 62,000 for the 3 days, and that is a record for V8 Supercar racing here in Tassie. Well done.
53.25. Craig Lowndes has done the quickest lap. The first flyer belongs to him.
Holden, Ford. Garth Tander's first year with the HSV dealer team after switching for many years with Gary Rogers Motorsport. And hasn't he fitted into this team beautifully? Works well with his engineer, Eric Pender, Rob Crawford, the whole team. They like him, he likes them, and it's been a perfect fit.
Todd Kelly and Mark Scaife have got Russell Ingall sandwiched at the moment, 8th, 9th and 10th. Ingall in the middle.
Ambrose running in 19th at the moment and looking to do what Greg Murphy did in the second. Murphy has had to relinquish that spot to Dumbrell, so Dumbrell is holding on to a top 5 spot. Darren.
You have to look at these top 3 or 4 guys right now. In the previous races, someone's always hung out there to get some clear laps, but there's not much in them. Their times are pretty similar, so we'll see if they all bomb into the pits at the same time.
52.7, new fastest lap of the race for Stephen Richards. The lap record set yesterday by Garth Tander of 52.18.
Neil, further to what you were saying earlier about Russell Ingall had an awkward end to the second race. He came into the pits and there was a thick film of oil across his windscreen and he was directly following Paul Dumbrell. I went up to the Castrol camp and asked what the story was, and the boys just said there was excess oil in the overflow area of that car. There was no engine problem whatsoever, and that's obvious by Dumbrell's strong run right now.
The game that Russell Ingall is playing is one of survival at the moment. He's just got to be in there. He's got a margin which nobody will be able to touch provided he doesn't drop the ball. If, for example, he went to the back of this field or he didn't finish the race, he's in plenty of trouble.
Zinger replay. What happens here? Ferodo hairpin. Contact between Brabham and David Bernard. And Matthew White's caught in the middle of that also.
Yeah, by that stage it was already happening and a little bit hard to see, but it looks like David may have got into David Brabham, that is, into the back. David Bernard. No one can lay a glove on Garth Tander at the moment. Can they? 0.8 of a second the margin now. Pit window opens for the compulsory stop for tyres. Most people electing to change rears only. This is Dumbrell. Another great run. Position 5 at the moment. Tander, Richards, Lowndes, Kelly, Dumbrell, Murphy, Johnson, who's recovered brilliantly. Oh, very, very close to throwing it away for Paul Dumbrell.
That's how you describe it, as unsettling the bloke in front of you. Gave him just a little tap, got him offline, unbalanced the car. Greg Murphy said, I'll take that spot back.
Russell Ingall will hit this lap. David Bernard's come in and addressed the damage on that car after the turn 4 incident. Here we go. Key runners in the lane.
The HSV dealer team outfit have been very slick with pit stops. We've seen that with Tander and with Rick Kelly. And Tander crawling along up the field, up the pit lane. Lowndes now inherits the lead of this race.
And that may not be a bad position for them if he can stay out there and has clear air, and these guys happen to insert back in other drivers who are still trying to get the job done. It'll be messy.
Pretty standard stop for everyone. The only surprise really was the wheels were out for Greg Murphy, but because he made that pass on Dumbrell, he's now got some clear track and some pace that he can set ahead of him, so they swapped them, and his teammate Paul Wheel came in instead.
Oh, more trouble. Jamie Whitcup, Anthony Tratt, they've come together somehow at the hairpin.
That makes 3, the perfect 3 for Jamie Whitcup at the Ferodo hairpin. He's had an incident in every race up there. Look at this, Scaife is in, Jason Richards in, and Jason Bright comes in early for once. McConville is the last car in that line.
Good stop from Dodo Racing. Scaife done without any fuss and slots back in front of car number 3. Lowndes is the race leader. Rick Kelly's still out there. Greg Murphy's still out there. So's Paul Dumbrell. Stephen Johnson. Hasn't Johnson done a great job of recovering what looked as though it might have been a pretty tough weekend for him? Qualified way back in 19th.
Look at this, Stephen Richards in 24, the Castrol Commodore, closer after their respective stops to Garth Tander. Here's Craig Lowndes.
This is one that matters.
We will see where he returns to the track.
All right, mate, away you go. Turn off your light, watch your pit speed.
Perfect stop by Craig Lowndes, no problem at all. Changed both rear tyres, in and out in no time. Well done, the Better Electrical boys.
Watch this though, watch this. Tander's coming through turn 7, final turn. Onto the front straight. Will Lowndes be able to beat him out? That's the question here. Here comes Tander on the right of your screen. Lowndes is on the gas now. Is he close enough? No, he won't be. Tander will hold on to the lead. They go side by side almost.
He has made a spot. No, he loses it to Richards.
Almost so close for Lowndes to grab the lead, but Tander had the pace.
It almost looked to me then like Craig might have missed a gear. It looked like he was launching out and was going to slot in behind. Then he dropped that spot to Stephen. We'll find out later, no doubt.
That makes it 3 from 3. 3 races where the pit stop, the compulsory stop, has gone to plan perfectly for Garth Tander, and here's his teammate, Rick Kelly. He had a lap out in front all by himself. Steve Johnson's been serviced to Dick Johnson Racing. Rick Kelly is released. Look to the right of your screen. Here comes his teammate now. Garth Tander crosses the line.
Incidentally, Todd Kelly got ahead of Russell Ingall in those stops.
Watch where Rick pops out. He gets sideways and he draws alongside Stephen Richards, but Richards has the momentum. So Rick Kelly, smart work and good teamwork.
Wow, that's dropped Lowndes back right position, so that's critical. And Lowndes will try and hustle while Rick's on cold tyres. He will have ground a bit of toothpaste off his teeth when he saw that HSV dealer team car come out in front of him. He would have really gnashed because it's like, I don't need that right at the moment.
And Rick was on the gas coming out of pit lane. He was all sideways and he knew exactly where he was going.
Haven't those HSV dealer team guys been red hot in the pits all weekend? They've done a great job servicing both their cars. Just total efficiency, great teamwork, getting the job done. Oh dear, Anthony Tratton tagging Jamie Whincup. That's the Zinger replay of that earlier incident that we saw a couple of laps ago.
Anthony will be somewhat frustrated with his run this weekend in Simmons Plains.
He started out very strongly too. He looked very good in the first practice, 17th, and was mixing it with the big names.
Murphy's at the front, Ambrose is second, but keep in mind these guys haven't stopped. In fact, the top 6 have not stopped for the compulsories. And that's Murphy, Ambrose, Canto, Brabham, and Owen Kelly, and Matthew White.
Knowing Craig, the in and out laps would have been totally on the limit. So one imagines that unless there was a traffic issue somewhere, that the net gain here between these two teams has been in the pits between the HSV dealer team and Triple 8 guys. So it's just been enough to vault him, and it looks like he's got car pace at the moment too.
Yeah.
Kelly, remember his car in the previous race was sliding around a little bit towards the end of the race. Looks good at the moment. He's opened a margin. 52.01. Stephen Richards, fastest lap of the race so far, and I think that's a new lap record.
Okay.
Almost in the 51s.
They can't quite catch Tander though, can they?
Campbell Little was calling for a front bar adjustment on Craig's car. That's the front anti-roll bar. There's a cockpit control. He can change the roll characteristic of the front of the car.
The order is Tander, Richards, Rick Kelly, Lowndes, then Murphy, then Stephen Johnson, Todd Kelly, Mark Scaife, Paul Dumbrell and Russell Ingall. And Todd Kelly makes a move on Steve Johnson. That was for position.
He's on the march a bit at the moment, Todd Kelly. And when the top 3, Ambrose, Brabham and Kelly, take their stop, Todd Kelly won't look too bad. Paul Forgey's on the radio urging Marcus to just press on at the moment, make use of the clean air.
Well done.
And they don't want him to stop just yet or it'll make his position worse.
That's Scaife in the background. And then Dumbrell followed by Ingall. It's not where Russell Ingall wants to be in his Caltex Ford, but he is getting points.
Here's Lee, there's 5 cars between him right now, or between Craig Lowndes and Russell Ingall, but he's got a group behind him, Paul Radicic and a few others starting to close into the back of his car. He's having trouble, Russell Ingall, getting past Paul Dumbrell right now.
And the problem for Russell is he just can't afford to take manoeuvres that are high risk, low yield.
Yeah.
He really now is inside of a championship, so if he does anything desperate and he drops a race and drops at the moment he's on a big pile of points even in this position, even as far back as 13th, it just hurts. So you know, he may be thinking about it, the racer in him may be thinking about it, but there's not so much you can do around here. There's probably only 1.5 spots where you can pass, and unless he's got genuine car speed over Paul Dumbrell, he won't risk it.
If you missed our broadcast yesterday, we mentioned the fact that Russell Ingall has re-signed with Stone Brothers Racing for a further 2 years. His new teammate next year will be young Aussie James Courtney, who's been overseas for the best part of 10 years. And he replaces Marcus Ambrose, who of course is United States bound in his pursuit of a ride in NASCAR.
Russell was very shallow into turn 6 then. He was a long way to the left of the road. I suspect that Paul Radisich must be pretty close to the back of him. So there's not the ideal way to approach up there. He just has to sneak the car further to the left than he probably wants to.
Ambrose is in. Oh, I think he's on his way in this lap. Still Ambrose, Brabham and Owen Kelly yet to stop. Steve Ellery, Jason Bright fighting it out hard. And Jason Richards in front of those two. I think it's materialised to be the round that Bright was hoping it would be, considering how fast he was early in the weekend.
He peaked in qualifying but couldn't repeat in the shootout. Looked like some of their troubles
Richards
were
is
behind. Oh, Jason out there, there's no grip at all. You can see how much dust and dirt, rubbers on the road. Once he came out of the groove, there was nothing to fight with out there.
There was much speculation that this man here would be going to Ford Performance Racing, but he, in the past couple of weeks, has re-signed with Tasman Motorsport Dodo Racing for a further 2 years as well. So much driver movement the end of this season. That seat at FPR, incidentally, has been taken by Mark Winterbottom, who has left Larkham Orcon Racing. So still a few seats, a few rides out there to be confirmed for 2006. Almost at the halfway mark of this third and final race.
Anthony Tratton had a drive-through penalty for his contact with Jamie Whincup up at turn 4. Marcus has got good speed at the moment. He's got a 9.2 second lead over David Brabham. He still hasn't taken that stop. And he's going to use all of the available window, it seems, and Paul Forgy is continuing to reassure him that it's a good strategy, that it's going to give them what they want. They're making good positions. Remember that he was right back down, buried in the field in 27th position.
His dad Ross missed the race here last year as he was in hospital for a brief stint. So this is the first time that Ross has got to see his son race a V8 supercar at Symmons Plains.
Battle here between Steve Johnson and Mark Scaife, 10th and 11th at the moment. Still Ambrose and David Brabham, Owen Kelly to stop, so 3 guys still to stop. So a reasonable recovery here for Todd and for Mark. We talked before about the fact that Stephen Johnson's recovered well after a disappointing qualifying down in 19th. He's raced very well in all 3 races yesterday and today.
It's been a long, hard season of racing. And just think about next year when we add Bahrain into the mix.
I've never seen so many tired crews as we're seeing at the back end of this championship. It has been extremely long. We're talking about them running in their, was it 26th race?
Yeah, this is the 27th.
So here's foot cam. We get a lot of positive feedback. People watching this. This is on board with Mark Scaife at turn 6. Uses the clutch just for the short shift from 3rd to 4th. Stays in 4th on the rev limiter. Modulates the brake pedal across turns 1 and 2. Carries the brake all the way to the apex of turn 2. Flat shifting to 3rd to 4th to 5th. And uses 6th gear briefly. Look how long he carries the brake pedal for. That car is already a long way around turn 4. We've had a lot of questions, people asking us why do the drivers sometimes use the clutches. When you're going across the gate pattern on the gearbox from 2nd across to 3rd or from 4th across to 5th, sometimes a good practice just to use the clutch, because if you do what we describe as wrong slot, that is get the wrong one, you can retrieve it before you actually pop the clutch up. If you flat shift and you haven't given yourself the option and you come out of 2nd and you miss shift and you grab 1st, and that poor little V8 will do about 10,000 revs and all the valve springs will uncoil and the valves will be about an inch longer, and tends to be bad for your race.
We are now into the second half of this race. Ambrose leads the way, but yet to stop from Brabham and Owen Kelly. Those three still to come in. And then it's Tander, Stephen Richards, Rick Kelly, Craig Lowndes, Greg Murphy, Todd Kelly, Steve Johnson, Mark Scaife, Paul Dumbrell, Russell Ingall.
Lee, that lead group have just caught Jamie Whincup, and then both Tander and Richards have got by. Rick Kelly's now behind him, but that car really struggling. Sounds like it has a cracked exhaust pipe.
Here he is, Tander, the man this weekend.
He's lost a little bit of ground in the last couple of laps. He's just... Oh, Stephen overshot down at turn 4. It's not much in it. The gap is seesawing.
Steve Richards for Castrol Perkins Racing. He's 6th in the championship. At one stage he was 2nd. And it does frustrate him that he slid back down the order. Things didn't go his way at Bathurst. He's had a few other frustrating rounds. This guy here, Rick Kelly, has had a strong weekend, and the HSV dealer team boys said even before the car hit the track that they felt their cars would be strong here.
That car of Jamie Whincup's has got a broken header. You listen to it when it goes by our camera up here at turn 4, it sounds awful.
Get too wide at the end of the back straight. There's a few people, if they run wide, must be getting a bit slippery there.
On board here with Stephen Richards. Ambrose still hasn't taken that stop, neither has David Brabham. They're playing the gamble game. But when a car breaks a header, an exhaust header in this field, it always sounds so dreadful by comparison to the other vehicles. Oddly enough, the Dodo racing cars sound fantastic with the exhaust outlets they have on their cars. Here's Steve Ellery.
Neil, his teammate Craig Lowndes just struggled that previous lap around between 6 that we spoke about earlier with the track breaking up. I don't know if that was the exact problem for him, but he was off in the dirt, and now he has Murphy in his rear vision mirror.
And that'll be why Campbell Little was on the radio in my ear saying, focus, focus, focus. They're really trying to manage Craig, get the most out of him. There he is off in the dirt, as you mentioned, Darryl, and that would have put paid to any likelihood of there being a challenge to Rick Kelly. And with Greg breathing on him now, he's got more to worry about. Inside the 888 bunker, there's Campbell with the pen in the mouth, just nervously nibbling away.
Mark Dutton to the left of the screen, the guy who looks after Steve Ellery, who's had a pretty solid weekend this weekend also.
The reason that Lowndes has slipped off up there, as Darryl said, is that there's been a track break up on the run to 6, so very easy to come unglued up there. Incidentally, Marcus Ambrose will pit, I believe, on this lap, and here comes David Brabham doing exactly the same. In fact, he's actually done the job. He's on his way out.
How things can change in the space of a race weekend. And particularly, Indy was a pivotal point for Craig Lowndes, and now Marcus Ambrose is in.
Nice and steady on the mark. We're going to come out in a good spot here. You'll be around Radisich.
Should put him about 12th or thereabouts. Not a bad recovery from 27th. And that was the reason they left him out long. Good, clean, clear air in a quick car. Looks like the brake troubles are solved, as Ross Stone suggested at the front of the race.
Left it until the last possible moment.
And you may wonder why the top line teams can have these brake issues.
That's got him out in a great position, Neil. 7th he has come out in, Marcus Ambrose. So from 27th to 7th, he has done a Greg Murphy.
Well, that's even better.
He's done even better, yeah.
Paul Forgy was suggesting. There are many different combinations of brake pad, brake rotor, rotor thickness, rotor ventilation, the size of the pad sweep area, the treatment on the face of the disc. There are so many different combinations, and when you come to Indy, the Surfers Paradise track, and then Simmons Plains, very, very hard on brakes. And if you've only got one nominated test track, like the rules require, and for example for Stone Brothers and for HRT, it's Queensland Raceway and Phillip Island respectively, neither of them are anything like brake sensitive circuits. I mean, you just don't really hook into the brakes and make big temperatures like you do this track and the previous track. And it can expose weaknesses in your game, and that's what's happened to a couple of teams this weekend. It doesn't take a lot to fix it. You've just got to come up with the right combination of elements to get the appropriate friction resistance, to get the cars to stop well, and to give the driver the feel that he's looking for. We've caught some people out this weekend for sure.
There is a fabulous charity auction that you can be a part of. It is the Harvey Norman V8 Supercar Charity Auction, and you're simply bidding for hot laps with HRT's PR2 car. And this will happen next year, the rides that is. And you simply go to ebay.com.au and type in Harvey Norman V8 Supercar Charity Auction. Fabulous prize, and that helps raise money for the Leukemia Foundation and Ronald McDonald House.
Notice that Mark is looking in the rear view mirror a lot on that last lap when we were on board with him. And the reason is that Russell Ingall is just gnawing away at the back of him there at the moment, and maybe he's just got a little bit more speed. See, Mark has a quick drink, focuses again on the numbers, the shift lights on the wheel. Has a look to make sure that Russell doesn't dive down the inside as he's about to turn in. Situational awareness in a race car is a very important thing, and these cars are not easy to see out of. Rear view, oh dearie me, and is that
Steve Ellery?
Steve Ellery. Gee, for a minute there I thought it could have been his teammate, but he got well out of shape over the hump at turns 1 and 2. Fortunately not bogged, gets away with it on that occasion.
That's a shame, because Ellery was well placed just outside the top 10. Scaife is in 9, Russell Ingall is in 10. And on the graphics there you can see where these guys have moved up or down. Kelly a big mover, 5 positions for him.
Ingall's also looking in the mirror. He's got Dumbrell right behind. This is the view looking the other way now, from Russell's car
10 to go, mate. 10 to go.
to the back of Mark's car. 10 to run.
Look at that, 20 positions made by Marcus Ambrose. We made a big deal about Murphy making up 15, and that is stunning from Ambrose.
See Russell looking for cool air, trying to stay out of the hot air being created by the HRT car, trying to make sure that brake temperatures in particular and water temperatures are not unnecessarily moved further up the scale.
You can see some weather there starting to move in, but we'll be safe. This will be a dry race. Yesterday, how's this? The HSV dealer team guys sent their chef out to the Longford pub, so, you know, quite a few kilometres away.
It's not a bad place to hang out anyway.
Yeah, and he telephoned in on 5-minute intervals as to what the weather was doing, because the weather moves from Longford here across Symmons Plains, and that helped them with their tyre choice for race 1.
Yeah, I don't know if that turn 6 is becoming a bigger issue or not, but in the last 3 laps there's been 3 different cars go off in that turn. First of all it was Seaton, then Brad Jones, and then the last time around it was another car I couldn't quite see in the distance.
That's a big gap, but with the number of race wins that'll go against his name now in this championship, what's happened today and yesterday, he'll bump up to 4 race wins in 27. 5 race wins for Todd Kelly, 5 race wins for Craig Lowndes, 4 race wins for Greg Murphy, so it sticks him right up the top of that chart.
There's Lowndes in the 888 Better Electrical Ford, Murphy in the 51 Super Cheap Auto Commodore, the lap car of Jamie Whincup. He's had a nightmare this weekend. He's off to 888 Racing, incidentally, next year. And here is the race between Todd Kelly, Marcus Ambrose. You ride with Marcus.
He's got some strength in this number 1 car at the moment too, so Marcus is coming, and so is Rick Kelly. He's slowly closing onto the back of Stephen Richards. These guys at the moment we're looking at are arguing for 6th and 7th.
You got to give it to Ambrose. He does not give up, and that's why he is still in the hunt for this championship.
He's got a little more braking strength at the moment. Maybe slight better balance too. You can see Todd's car just skating a little on the exit there of turn 7. See whether he can do much down at the hairpin. He's got a reasonable exit out of 2 here. Car sideways up here, and it's Stephen Richards. He's spun it, I understand. Well, we talked about the fact that Rick Kelly was closing the margin to Steve. Garth Tander will be doing handsprings. Whoop. Trouble here for Craig Baird and Owen Kelly. Also at turn 4. This has been a real issue this weekend, and to Stephen Richards, he does get tangled up in all this.
Oh. And Rick Kelly said thank you, slipped through on the inside.
But how did he end up so high and wide? Or was he just thinking that that was the appropriate place to be to get around Craig?
There goes Tander.
I'd love to see a little bit more of that from earlier, because I reckon Rick Kelly was right underneath him at the time anyway. He must have been very, very close to him. So all of a sudden, Steve must have been really battling in the last 60, 120 seconds when we first raised the notion of Rick Kelly closing the margin. So Rick is now second. HSV dealer team 1 and 2.
That's the first time this year with these two drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic performance. And Rick was very strong here last year.
They like this track. They said that their cars, this is a power down circuit, and their cars are good under those circumstances. So they said that right before the cars even rolled off the truck.
It's all over, bar the shouting. 3.5 seconds, Garth Tander, Rick Kelly. Handful of laps to run. We're on board here with Marcus Ambrose. And does he go underneath Mark Scaife? He does. Todd Kelly. So Todd's also pinched the brakes at the critical moment.
The hairpin is the key point of this circuit, isn't it?
And I said before that I reckon that Marcus had a little more brake strength. You can just see that Todd was right on the nasty edge down there.
Neil, you were talking about Stephen Richards. He actually lost momentum coming onto the main straight. Just put a couple of wheels just in the dirt. The dirt went flying, and that's where Kelly really started to make up ground.
He must have been right underneath him, Mark, by the time they got down to that hairpin. And then we saw the kerfuffle involving Craig Baird. For some reason, Stephen ended up a little high and wide out there in the grey stuff where there's no grip. That's cost him dearly. He's down in 4th place now. Such a shame after such a strong run. Still in all, he'll take away a decent pile of points out of this one. And I reckon he's still on target to be 2nd overall in the round. Tander will clearly win it. Yeah, Richards will have 182 points. And finishing in 4th if he does, if he stays where he is at the moment, he'll be 2nd in this round. And 3rd place will be Rick Kelly with 180 points. Is that what
yes, yeah, that's clear. 3.5 second lead to Garth Tander. Rick Kelly 2nd, Craig Lowndes 3rd, Steve Richards 4th, Greg Murphy 5th, Ambrose 6th. That is outstanding. From 27th to 6th, Todd Kelly, Steve Johnson, Mark Scaife and Russell Ingall. So a top 10 result for our championship leader. In the closing laps here at Symmons Plains.
It looks a bit grubby out there, doesn't it? There's debris on the track. There's some nice rubber grooves in a couple of places. Listen to the headers on that 23 car. It sounds woeful.
Ambrose slips by. Just one race meeting left in 2005, and it's going to be gripping. 2 weeks' time, the Big Pond finale. Tickets via Ticketmaster. And at this championship, honestly, could very well go down to the last race.
Big chance. Marcus just flashing the lights here to John Bow in the Team BOC entry. John's down in 29th, leaves room for him down the inside, so Marcus just scoots through. This is where some of the trouble's been, where Darryl and Mark have reported that people have been going off the road. Marcus is speedy at the moment, isn't it?
Very good.
John Bow's a very analytical driver, and he'll be sitting behind there at the moment thinking, how do we create a car that behaves like that? Well, they're going to take one of the elements next year. They'll be having the Stone Brothers Racing engines on board the Team BOC cars. That'll help. He'll be also getting some first-hand knowledge watching the way the chassis behaves as it scoots past.
News that Garth Tander's wife Leanne is going to get back in the cockpit. She's going to do some open wheel racing in the Australian F3 Championship. She's a handy driver in her own right, and her husband is pretty slick too, isn't he? Great performance this weekend from Garth Tander. He gets the clean sweep. Tander with the hat-trick in Tasmania.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Car was absolutely fantastic in that one. Absolute credit to you. Well done.
What a weekend for the big man. And they come on home. Celebrations all round in the Holden Special Vehicles dealer team. Rob Crawford, Matty Nelson, Eric Pender, to all the boys. Job well done.
It is an outstanding performance. Gracious words there. Oh, was there trouble towards the end? Something weird's just happened. Something totally bizarre has happened on the run up to the hairpin, and Craig Baird's car's got massive damage on it.
Run up the back of someone.
Copy that, mate.
I've got a feeling it's one of the HSV dealer team cars, is it?
I don't know. We shall see. Maybe we'll have a look for a replay. something weird's happened. We'll try and get the story in a tick.
Make sure your engine's right. Don't stay the cockpit if you lost something, mate.
I was going to say that Garth Tander very gracious in his words and his thanks for the team for providing a wonderful car.
There's Steve Richards. Very solid weekend's work for Stephen. And second place in this round is pretty handy for his championship points. Here's Craig Baird on the right, the WPS Falcon.
Oh, you know what? He didn't realise there was another car on his left. He was just deciding to go left of Garth Tander's car, and he's tripped over the front of Rick Kelly's car.
That was a little awkward,
to say the least.
Yeah. So an interesting end to this race, but what a weekend for the HSV dealer team. 1 and 3 as far as the round points. Greg Murphy, what a drive in race 2. And there he is, a top 5 finisher in the 3rd. And Marcus Ambrose has the title slipped away for the Devil Racer. Was that second race the turning point for his title? We'll find out. But it's Garth Tander's weekend. Has not won a round in 5 years.
Good job, mate. Thanks, mate.
Bathurst 2000, the last time he won the whole weekend. And that's a reason to celebrate.
Looks very red down there, doesn't it? 2 HSV dealer team cars and Stephen Richards in there as well, making it 3 for Holden. And in the championship, the battle is between Russell Ingall, Marcus Ambrose and Craig Lowndes, and we're crunching those numbers for you at the moment. Here's the confirmation of the unofficial results. Tander, Kelly, Lowndes, Stephen Richards, Greg Murphy, Marcus Ambrose, Todd Kelly, Stephen Johnson, Mark Skate and Russell Ingall. That's the top 10. So Russell survives inside the 10. Dumbrell, solid weekend for him. Good performance. Down a little in this race though. Then Radisich Morris, Jason Richards, Max Wilson, Jason Bry, who'll be disappointed after the great performance in qualifying. Conville, Ellery, Brabham and Jones.
It's a pretty handy effort from Paul Morris in the Sirame Commodore, considering he started race 2 from pit lane, dead last. So he's made up some good ground in the second and third races.
49 points. If I crunched my numbers correctly between Russell Ingall and Craig Lowndes.
That's the closest it's been for a while. The pressure is on, heading to Phillip Island. And this great crowd, this record crowd, has witnessed a mighty effort from Garth Tander. Mark.
Rob Crawford, the man in charge at HSV. What a fantastic weekend, and Garth especially.
Yeah, no, fantastic drive. He's been driving like a dog after a postie all weekend. So's the young bloke too, so it's been great.
The pit crew as well got him out in that first race. Fantastic.
Yeah, look, the guys have been practising 24/7 back at the workshop and paid off today. It's great.
A dog after a postie. Where'd you come up with that?
I heard it somewhere. I think we might have been having a few ales somewhere, a few green ones, and that sort of popped up.
There might be a few more tonight. Well done.
Excellent. Well, see ya.
Kelly, a fantastic weekend for you and Garth Tander.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we made a few changes for the second race, hoping to come out like a pack of champions. Unfortunately, we went backwards, but we went back to race 1 and then tweaked a little more and got some more out of it race 3. So all weekend the team just made, you know, outstanding decisions. We had a bit of a chat before we came here and they've implemented them changes, and you know, we've really killed 2 birds with 1 stone this weekend. It's been fantastic.
Don't really want to turn a positive into a negative, but what happened after the race there with Craig Baird?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like, generally you just don't overtake the, you know, the first few cars on the slowdown lap, and he passed me and hooked left and turned himself around the front of me. So I'm not sure what happened then. Someone said something was broken on his car. So I mean, I hope so. It was you know, it probably looked a bit silly, to be honest, but we'll see what happens.
Obviously during this race there was a lot of issue and a lot of people running off through turn 6. How bad was the track breaking up?
It wasn't that it was breaking up too bad. I think a lot of people were using their rear tyres and locking brakes and going off, so they were bringing debris back onto the track. But you know, that was all part of it. We've definitely got a good braking package with these cars, and you just got to keep focus the whole time. You just lose concentration for, you know, 1 split second, and she's all over. And that happened to a few drivers. So you know, we're lucky that we had the car to do the job.
Fantastic weekend, Rick.
Thank you.
Stevie Richards, 2 seconds and a 4th, second overall for the weekend. Good job.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty reasonable result, you know. It's not quite the one we're after, but that Garth's car just had a little bit more pace. But we've got to give the guys full credit for the weekend. We started with a really fast car, had a great qualifying, and, you know, we couldn't have asked for much more.
Real good tussle with Rick Kelly in that race. How'd you see that one?
Yeah, I don't know about Rick. I had a good tussle with Garth there for a while, but there's a fair old gap there, so it was just a matter of keeping the pace. I was just trying to keep pressing on and catch Garth, and the gap sort of ebbed and flowed a bit, and then come across the WPS car having a spin, so that caused us a bit of grief.
Positive result for the whole team though. Paul Umbrella's also done very well this weekend.
Yeah, all of our cars have gone really well this weekend, so full credit to the guys. It's very hard to have two competitive cars, and good job by Paul too. So no, I think we're really pleased.
Happy days, congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
Well, Garth Tander, 3 from 3. What a weekend.
Absolutely awesome, Darryl. The car was fantastic from Friday practice, and we missed pole by 100th of a second, and I guess we made up with it with 3 race wins. I mean, the car was really good. We didn't change it at all through the races. Just got better and better as the track got more grip in it, so I could not be happier.
What has been the big change with the HSV team?
Well, we've been coming on strong since probably Darwin, and, it's just... We've been getting results, but not great results. But, this weekend we didn't do anything different. The guys were strong here last year anyway, so we just used that bit of that setup and a bit of what we learnt this year and put it all together, and it worked fantastic.
Off to an amazing racetrack, the next one. Fast, flowing, Phillip Island. You've got to be excited. It's a test track for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to get there. We test there on Thursday coming up. The cars haven't got a mark on them from this weekend, so we'll get a really productive test in there. So we really hope to finish the year off strong.
Fantastic weekend, Garth.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I just want to say hi to my niece and 2 nephews, to Aaron, Ronan and Liam. This one's for you guys.
Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Who says nice guys don't win? He thoroughly deserved that. A test in between now and Phillip Island. So for all of those teams, those guys, HRT, Super Cheap Auto Racing, there's a lot of testing still to be done.
Valuable timing for them to still have one up their sleeve at this critical end of the year, going to the racetrack that they know best. So they'll be a real threat down there, and they'll be a spoiler, if you like, in what's going to go on in the championship. That's very interesting, isn't it, when you look at the way people have run their race meeting this weekend, the different things that have affected them. Phillip Island's very different in its character to this racetrack. So, despite the fact that there's big focus on now Russell Ingall and Craig Lowndes, a whole bunch of other people have got to be factored in there as well.
The tension is building, and you can really feel it down here in the pit and paddock area. And one guy who was right in the middle of that is Craig Lowndes. He's with Mark.
Craig Lowndes, you probably didn't have the speed this weekend, but still a good result. 3rd in that race, and you consolidated 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, look, it's been going great for us this last half of this season. So for us, it's a great result. Wasn't what we want, and obviously we want to win every round. But we've come here. The car wasn't as quick early in the races, but it got up to speed in the middle and to the end of it. So we're not too disappointed. We made a few little errors there, in the middle of that last race. But the car is working really well. We had a little bit of luck with in race 2 with Marcus. Russell seemed to struggle right throughout the weekend, and so did a lot of the Fords. So it might be just a Commodore track.
Now, Craig, many people might not know this, but you are a wonderful mathematician. Tell us how far behind you are in the championship and whether you can still win it.
49, yes, we can. Yeah, we've definitely closed up the gap on Russell. We need, like we always said, Russell to have some bad weekends for us to have any chance of, really pushing him to the line. And, this weekend we've definitely closed it. I think there's about a 30-point gap now back to Marcus on us. So really, we're going to Phillip Island with a little bit of a buffer, but also a buffer to close up, We'll wait and see. No, it's definitely, it's a fantastic track, Phillip Island. I really enjoy it. Queensland teams generally have a good setup, but there's a lot of Victorian teams that do test there. So, a few hurdles to come.
We'll see you for the finale at Phillip Island.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.